I personally own a Microsoft Surface laptop. This is it. And yes, it's the original Microsoft Surface laptop, no numbers to it. Since then, I've taken a look at the Surface Laptop 2, 3 and 4, and with every iteration, I've never really felt the need to upgrade. Well, that all finally changes today. This is the Microsoft Surface Laptop 5, and while it might not look any different from the original Surface laptop, barring the dbrand skin I have on mine of course, this might finally be the one that I'll upgrade to. Now, to give a little bit of context, I bought my original Microsoft Surface laptop a few years ago, and I mainly got it to do really simple tasks. Things like web browsing, documents, the occasional YouTube binging, and file transfers on the go. In that regard, it actually performs rather well despite having just a dual-core Intel Core i7, 8GB of RAM, and a 256GB SSD. Extremely paltry specs in this day and age, but even then, it actually still performs rather well today. And I could even do a little bit of Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop even if I wanted to. It can still handle it just alright. And so, when Microsoft updated the Surface laptop for every generation since then, I've never really needed to upgrade per se. Well, thanks in part due to the things that I use the laptop for. Even all the way up to the Surface Laptop 4, I've never really felt there's that much of a drastic difference in terms of the user experience and performance for the things that I do. Sure, with the Surface Laptop 4, it was indeed much more powerful and much more responsive, and file transfers are even much faster, but it's not that big of a jump to the point that I felt I needed to spend the extra 2,000 Sing dollars or 1,005 US dollars thereabouts to upgrade to. But we now have the Surface Laptop 5 featuring the latest 12th gen Intel Core processors. Well, I think that this is finally worth the upgrade. To start, however, I do want to touch a little bit about the design. To cut straight to the chase, it hasn't really changed all that much, and that's not a bad thing per se. In fact, in my opinion, pretty good actually. Microsoft is kind of following in Apple's shoes here, and sure, the bezels may be a tad thick in comparison to most other laptops now, but it's honestly still reasonably sized and does give the Surface laptop its iconic look. The use of aluminum is really beautiful, and of course, Alcantara is by far the best feature. It is extremely comfortable, and it really is what makes the Surface lineup distinct. Honestly, half the reason why I even bought the Surface laptop is simply because of that Alcantara. The simply great typing experience. And I don't think I've ever regretted 1 inch of that decision, ever. It really is that awesome. As for those of you who are concerned about the condition of Alcantara over the years, well, here's my Surface laptop as an example. About 5 years now and going, and as you can tell, it still holds up pretty well. It's slightly yellowing and discoloring on the edges, but nothing major per se. Of course, I didn't spill anything on it, so that does play a part, but in general, it will hold up well. On that note, the keyboard and trackpad are probably still the best in the Windows space, and here, it's right along the top of my list alongside the MacBooks and the Razer Blades. All in all, the design of the Surface laptop is great, and I still very much love it. Now, one neat upgrade over the original Surface laptop that I have is the fact that there's a Type-C port. This is incredibly useful and much more versatile over the mini display port that I have with mine. That can only really do display output, while this is fully capable of that and connecting to all sorts of accessories, and most importantly, charging via Type-C. The fact that I can just chuck the Surface Connect charger back home and just bring along with me a GAN charger is life-changing for me. Now, some of you might note that with the previous Surface Laptop 4, there was already a Type-C port. And yes, you'll be right, but only partially. While there was a Type-C port available with the 4, that was just a standard Type-C port. This, on the other hand, is Thunderbolt 4, which opens up yet even more versatility. I might be exaggerating about how great the Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port here is, but honestly, it really is that great. It opens up new doors and it just makes it so much more versatile. And you still get a standard Type-A USB port as well as the 3.5mm combo. Really nice. The last major thing that I felt is worth the upgrade, well, has to do with that 12th gen Intel Core processor with its upgraded performance and battery life. With our model, we have the Core i7 SKU, and it's actually using the Core i7 1255U in particular, which boasts a total of 10 cores and 12 threads featuring 2 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. That is a whopping difference compared to the Core i7 7660U with just 2 cores and 4 threads. Even without going through things like Cinebench or PCMark, you can definitely tell that there's a distinct difference in performance and responsiveness between the two, just by using the laptop for standard casual tasks. With the Surface Laptop 5, loading of pages and photos on Google is much faster, loading a main YouTube page and playing 4K video is much faster, transferring of files is also much faster. Everything just feels much more snappy, and we aren't talking differences of milliseconds here. It's differences of seconds or even more. And if you were to really take both chips and put it through the test, like actually through the test, the differences just grow. Take Genshin Impact for example. Playing a full-fledged 3D game that really uses quite a bit of CPU and iGPU power to run. Now sure, I do have to turn down the rendering resolution to 0.8 times and run it on the medium preset with SMAA enabled to smooth out those jaggy lines, and even then, I'm only getting roughly 45 frames per second on average with 1% lows near 30 frames per second. But it is still an extremely playable experience, and the fan noise is quite minimal since it spins pretty slowly. Again, it's not the best experience out there, but compared to my original Surface laptop, Genshin is pretty much an unplayable experience with single-digit frame rates no matter the graphics setting. But perhaps the best part is battery life, because despite both laptops featuring roughly the same battery capacity at 47 watt-hours, the Surface Laptop 5 definitely lasts way longer. Even back when my Surface laptop was brand new, I was just getting about 6 to 7 hours of typical usage, although now it's much more nearer to 5. With the Surface Laptop 5, however, I could get nearly 9 or even 10 hours of typical usage pretty easily. It just goes to show how much more efficient Intel has become over the course of, well, 5 generations and more. So all in all, it's been great. But that's not to say that it's perfect, because, well, it really isn't. A few things stand out when comparing the two laptops that's 5 generations apart. For a start, the webcam is still only 720p, and it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Microsoft, it's been exactly that, 5 generations, and it's still using the same, pretty much exactly the same camera as much as I can tell. But yet, their Microsoft Surface Pro lineup, well, that gets the way better camera with arguably the best front-facing webcam in the business. Yet they can't put it on the laptop, which is, yeah, just doesn't make sense to me. Just shave off a few millimeters, perhaps down the megapixel a little, but at the very least, come on, give us a full HD webcam. That would have been so much nicer. Secondly, well, it's the display. Sure, it's still great with a resolution higher than 1080p and has a 3:2 aspect ratio, which I do love, but it's also pretty much the exact same display since forever. It just gets a little brighter and it's slightly more color accurate, but that's about it. Honestly, I'm fine with the resolution as it is, and overall, it's still a really good display. Even the one on my original Surface laptop, it still holds up well today. But I would have wished it got something like a 90Hz refresh rate or even 120, because come on, the Surface Pro 9, again, that gets a 120Hz display. This should very much get it as well. Lastly, well, it's a little bit of a nitpick and just perhaps my own pet peeve, but really, Microsoft, you gotta give us more Alcantara color options. Like seriously. With the first generation Surface laptop, we have 4 colors in total, all of which spotted Alcantara. There's the classic platinum, cobalt blue, burgundy, and graphite gold. So much more to choose from, and all of them are really beautiful. Sure, there are new colors with the Surface Laptop 5 like Sage, but it doesn't have Alcantara. But put that all aside, the Surface Laptop 5 is just honestly a properly good laptop. And for me, it just ticks all the right boxes. I'm just happy that finally with this generation, there's enough of a substantial upgrade that I'm willing to upgrade from this to this. In any case, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below and we'll be sure to answer them. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to us for more of such content. And also follow our social channels on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Till the next one. See ya!